A man linked to the Phala Phala farm theft has appeared in court in Cape Town for possession of illegal firearms. Namibian national Urbanus Shambwako was named by former spy boss Arthur Fraser. This is when he wrote that affidavit into the theft at President Cyril Ramaphosa's game farm in Limpopo, alleging all sorts of wrongdoing. Well, eNCA's Ayesha Ismail was in court. She joins me now. Ayesha, thanks so much for joining us. So tell us about Urbanus Shambwako, because he wasn't in court on anything to do with what did or didn't happen in Phala Phala. But I suppose he's a person of interest now to all of us in a way.
That is correct, Sally. And so Urbanus Shambwako has been appearing in court since 2020 when he was found allegedly with 12 firearms in his vehicle. And it was only recently that, and as a result of Arthur Fraser's first affidavit, where he mentioned Shambwako as one of the robbers in the Phala Phala robbery that took place at the president's farm. And what has happened now, Sally, is that his lawyers have been asking the state for further particulars, and they asked the state to furnish them with more information, and particularly with regards to DNA, fingerprints, as well as a visit to Paulsmoor prison by members of the Hawks, and also about the connection with Phala Phala. They were saying that they were not furnished with all the information that they requested, but this is what Shambwako's lawyer, Rion Hekrath, had to say about the information that they did get from the state.
Between then and now, she did supply us with some information which is what we asked for. It was the results from the lab report that showed that our client's DNA was not found on the firearms, and neither was his fingerprints found on the firearms. It was not found on the bags either. In respects of the cell phones that were taken from him on the day that we requested information about that, we were told that they don't in possession of it, they're not going to furnish us with it, because they don't see why we should. They furnish us what was in the docket.
All right, so what is the link between Shambwako and Phala Phala at this point? Is it simply what's in that affidavit?
Well, according to the National Prosecuting Authority, they are saying that as far as they're concerned, Shambwako has only been charged with regards to the firearms, and of course there's also a charge of reckless driving. So when the lawyers asked for further particulars with regards to the link between Shambwako and Phala Phala, the state responded by saying that that information is irrelevant. But Shambwako's lawyers are saying that they don't believe that that information is irrelevant, given that there was a visit to Paulsmoor prison by members of the Hawks. And they specifically went to speak to Urbanus Shambwako about the Phala Phala matter, and also showed him Arthur Fraser's affidavit. This is what Rion Hekrath had to say about that.
In June, I've also mentioned before that our client was visited by certain members of the Hawks. And on that occasion, when they visited him, they did not question him about this matter. They questioned him about the Phala Phala matter and the affidavit that Mr. Fraser deposed to under oath. So naturally, when they contacted me to ask me to speak to him about the Phala Phala matter, I was confused as to what the connection is. They felt that he's a witness to the matter, as I've mentioned before, and also he's named in Mr. Fraser's statement. So in court, when my client came in and I went to speak to him, he mentioned to me that, in his way, that the gentleman sitting at the back is one of the men that was visiting him the day in Paulsmoor.
Yeah, so on the surface, it seems quite unclear, the links, and a little bit murky. Talk to me about the people who were in court today, though. You noticed some interesting presence.
Well, there were some of Urbana Shimbuako's friends, and they have been attending the court hearing quite regularly. And as Rian Heckrath just alluded to, a man sitting at the back in court, where Urbana Shimbuako said to him that that was one of the people who visited me in Pollsmoor prison. And when I asked Rian Heckrath about this afterwards, he did say that that was the person who was a member of the Hawks team who actually came down to speak to Shimbuako about the Palapala matter and showed him Arthur Fraser's affidavit. So it's very interesting, Sally, because on the one hand, the NPA is saying, we're just charging this man at the moment with the firearms matter and the reckless driving. And on the other hand, his lawyers are saying, if he's only being charged with that, why is it that members of the Hawks went to Pollsmoor prison, spoke to my client, and also spoke to the lawyer, not about the firearms matter? They spoke to him about the Phala Phala matter. So what is the link here? There has to be a link. But I guess we'll have to wait until the 8th of December, where the magistrate is going to have to make a ruling whether the state is going to have to give the lawyers all the further particulars that they requested, including the information on Phala Phala and the record of why and what time the Hawks members went to visit Shimbuako at Pollsmoor prison. Or maybe she will say that information is irrelevant and that his lawyers did not make out a strong enough case for that information to be given to them.